So yeah, so this is basically regarding the mastering DevOps. Okay, so you all reached to me with that Facebook or Instagram advertisement. So today this is a demo class for the DevOps. In this class, we will discuss that what will be covered into this training, what is the total number of hours, what will be the structure, how you get the material, whether these training sessions will it be recorded or not. If it is recorded, for how long it will be available. So we will be discussing all these things. Okay. So let me share my screen quickly. So I hope you guys can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's visible.
Thank you. Okay. So I have my GitHub repository for this training, which is Mastering DevOps. Okay, and all the material will be available here. This will be a public repository, so it's not restricted. Only you can use it. Anyone can use it. So I believe in open source and freeware things, but uh, here I'll share it on the chat window, this part, so that everyone can access this. So now in this, we will be discussing mainly these 8 topics. So first topic, which is basically related to DevOps, is SDLC. So um, why SDLC is related to DevOps? See, whenever we are talking about the DevOps, so DevOps is the automation. Okay. DevOps is automation. But what is the meaning of automation here? So automation is for, primarily it is for SDLC, software development lifecycle. Now, what is this SDLC? Software development life cycle. So we will talk today itself what is SDLC. See why DevOps came and what are the advantages of DevOps. So that will be discussed in this particular topic. Okay, I will explain this, but let me just walk through the topics which I'm going to cover in this training. Second, we will talk about the version control system, which is Git and GitHub. Okay. Then we will talk about Maven. We will talk about in detail in beginner to advanced level Docker. So whenever you see any job description related to DevOps, so you see in the bold letter, you should know Docker, right? So we will be discussing in very deep detail about the Docker. So once finish these sessions for Docker, so you feel yourself very comfortable if you do the practice. Then Kubernetes, again, Kubernetes is very popular, very demanding for industry level, which is the container orchestration. Container means in Docker, we will learn what is container, how to manage the container. That will be in the Kubernetes. Then we will talk about the Selenium. Selenium is primarily it is for the testing team, but we will discuss little bit overview of Selenium because when we will create an automation CI/CD pipeline, then some part of Selenium we will include. So if you have little bit knowledge about the Selenium, how it works, then it will be easy for you to create that CI/CD pipeline. Okay, what is CI/CD pipeline? That we will discuss in a bit. Okay. Then we will talk about Ansible, which is the infrastructure as a code. So if you want to manage any infrastructure, what is infrastructure? Infrastructure is your virtual machine, your containers, your, whatever you are basically, uh, wherever you are changing the configuration of your system, that is called the infrastructure. So for example, you want to install Java on your machine, that is called infrastructure change. And if you want to perform that activity with the code, that is called infrastructure as a code. So Ansible will be used for that. Then we will create a complete CI/CD pipeline using Jenkins. Now let us talk about these things in detail. So what we will be learning in SDLC. So if you see here, if I go in deeper detail, what will be in the SDLC? See, whenever we are talking about the SDLC, you can think in this way that there is a developer. Developer is writing a code, and that code will go into the production. Production is an environment where your code is live. Okay, so this is done through a life cycle, which is called software development life cycle. So when you are a developer, you are writing the code in some programming language. You want to build it, you want to, you know, test it. You need the networking, you need firewall, etc. So many things in between which is required that automatically comes under the software development lifecycle. So we will discuss today itself what are the different methodologies which are related to the software development lifecycle. Then we will see how DevOps is related to this SDLC. If there is no DevOps, then what we are doing without DevOps, how it will be different from the other methodology. Okay. We will talk about the Git and GitHub. See, there are some version control system. So when we are talking about the version control system, so version control system is nothing but uh, to track the history of your code. So for example, if you are writing a code and you have written, say, an example, 10 lines. Okay. Next day, you have removed 2 lines from this and added 2 new lines. But the one which you have deleted the lines or what you have added, so everything is to be tracked. So tomorrow, if I need these 2 lines which I have removed it, if I want to take it back, then I use the version control system. So Git and GitHub. So Git and GitHub, this is called the distributed version control system. So GitHub is a cloud-based system. Okay, so there is a cloud, which is where you want to maintain your repository. What is repository? Your code and the changes in your code. So this is your local system. From local system, right? You are writing code on your local system, and the change history you are maintaining on local system as well as on the remote system. So when you are using the remote system, especially cloud-based like GitHub, GitLab, Azure repositories, code commit from AWS, then this will be a distributed version control system. So you are maintaining local repository as well as you are maintaining the remote repository. Okay. So this overall is called the uh, distributed version control system. So there are so many things which I have just mentioned here, like how to install and what are the different topics, and we will discuss in very detail. Git and GitHub is initially it was developed for the developer point of view, but now it is used for everyone who is in the IT industry. Those who are maintaining their documents, those who are maintaining their code, scripts, etc. So everyone is using Git and GitHub. Okay, so that will be discussed in the Git. So whenever you are having your source code, right, you want to build that code. Building the code means you want to compile the code, you want to create a package. So if you are familiar with any programming language like Java, In Java, we create the files like jar files. We create web archive of Java archive, right? So such kind of files. So if you want to create a jar file or war file, right, through your Java code, then you need to write some commands, right? Or you need to do it manually. Instead of that, we use the build automation tool. In this course, I will be covering Maven. Okay. So whatever, again, Maven is not a primary job of DevOps engineer, but yes, the DevOps engineer should know what is build automation tool and how I need to use. So these days, what is happening that if you are having little bit programming or build automation experience, that is a plus point in your resume. Because if you are going with a normal DevOps engineer, but you need to support the software development lifecycle. And for example, you are supporting Java application. So it is a good idea, or it is a plus point, that if you are having a knowledge of that particular programming language, especially how to build the code. Like if you are using Python, then PyBuilder is the build automation tool. If you are using .NET, then MS Build is the build automation tool. So you can use um, any of these tools. But in this course, because Java is a widely used language, especially in the open source, and most of these DevOps tools are free of cost and open source. We are not talking about the enterprise version. Enterprise versions are not free of cost. We need to pay. But whatever you are learning in this training, you will be knowing almost everything related to the enterprise also. Okay. So for example, if you are learning Docker as a open source, or Git or GitHub as open source, then it means you can say, okay, 80 to 90% I know. The 20% is the enterprise. So enterprise, that exposure you can get it when you are into your real-time project, because those enterprise versions are not free of cost. So your company purchase those softwares, and they just add whatever is in the open source with that enterprise version. Okay, but for interview point of view, for learning point of view, these open source tools are more than enough. Okay. So after this build automation tool, where we will discuss how to install Maven on different operating system, we will be talking about the Maven commands, or we call it Maven goals. So we will be talking about that in detail. So first, we will learn all these tools one by one. At the end, we will, club them together into a CI/CD pipeline. All right. Now your code is converted into executable. Then we will talk about the Docker or containerization. Okay. There are many containerization tools are there, but most demanding tool is uh, is Docker. Okay. So we will talk in detail, as I mentioned earlier. So here, what we will be talking about, we will be talking about Docker, what is Docker image, what is Docker container, how we can create custom Docker images, Docker file, Docker registry, right? Docker storage. So this will be very interesting, because whenever you go for any DevOps interview, maximum questions from Docker and Kubernetes, okay, and Ansible. So you can say out of 100%, 40% will be Docker, 30% will be Kubernetes, and some other tools which we are learning here, right? So some are related to that. We will also talk about Docker Swarm, which is a container orchestration tool within Docker. Then after, we will talk about the Kubernetes. So in Kubernetes, it is a container orchestration tool. Orchestration is management tool. Means here we will talk about the Kubernetes in detail. We will see how to install the Kubernetes using kubeadm on your local system. What are the different, topics which is related to pod. We create a pod, and in the pod we means how to replicate the pod, what is deployment, what is blue-green process, what is replication deployment, config map, right? Jobs, namespaces. So there are so many Helm charts. So we will talk in very detail this Kubernetes. After completion of this, Kubernetes, you feel yourself very confident that I know the Kubernetes. Okay, provided that you need to do the practice. Okay, I will give the assignment, I will give you the quizzes so that you guys should be able to understand that those kind of topic. Each topic will have some quizzes, some assignment after that particular topic when I finish. For example, if I finish Git and GitHub, after that I will give you some quizzes. After that, I will give you uh, some assignment, so which you need to perform. Okay. Then we will be talking about the Selenium. Selenium is nothing but it is the test automation. Means that time is gone when you are testing manually. You are testing test case one is finished. Actual result is this. Expected result is this. So that time is gone. Okay, if someone is in the testing, so it's a good idea to switch to test automation tool. Selenium, one of the most demanding tool in the test automation. Okay, so but as a DevOps engineer, you don't need to learn in deep about this Selenium. So we will just touch base the overview of the Selenium. Then infrastructure as a tool, as a code tool or the configuration management tool, we'll talk about the Ansible. See, this is mainly from here, the operation teams comes into the picture. So in the operation team, they are basically saying, okay, we need to install Java on 100 system. To install Java on 100 system manually, it is a nightmare. So what you need to do, you need to use some automation tool. So Ansible, which is a push-based uh, automation tool. So we'll talk about what is push-based and when we reach to that topic. So here you can see Ansible introduction, Ansible installation, Ansible ad hoc commands, playbooks, modules, Jinja template, Ansible world, and roles will be covered. All right. Now, uh, as I mentioned at the end, we need to club whatever we have learned. So um, these are the um, right. So these are the basically tools which we are learning separately. But if you want to um, learn right how they are interconnected to each other, then we will talk about the CI/CD pipeline. So there are many tools, but Jenkins is one of the most demanding tool in the market, right? So we will discuss what is Jenkins, how to install Jenkins, right? We will manage Jenkins as there are so many options. Maven integration with the Jenkins, Docker integration with Jenkins, Kubernetes integration with Jenkins, webhook with the GitHub repository, Blue Ocean CI/CD pipeline, and Jenkins file. So that we will discuss in the Jenkins. Basically, we are creating end-to-end automation using DevOps using Jenkins. At the end, there will be a capstone project. So this is kind of a revision, right? So, uh, So in this revision, right, so we will see that, right. So in this revision, we will see a mature project. It is not a, it's not a project which is very basic. It is very, uh, you can say, intermediate level of project. So that, at the end, when this training is over, right? So you can basically uh, feel yourself very confident that I learned all the tools and I'm able to create. And this project you need to be you need to develop by yourself. I will not help. I will help you at the end. I will I will provide you the solution of this project. But the thing is that this will be done by you. So that we will set up a timeline that within 1 week you need to finish it. If you are not able to finish within 1 week, I will provide the solution. Okay. But that will be your duty, that you need to have this project. And discussion of this project at this moment, it is irrelevant um, because it is related to all these topics. But just an overview, in this project, we are having Git, GitHub, Maven, Docker, Kubernetes, all the topics will be the part of this project. Okay. So, so at this moment, I'm stopping it here. And let me ask anyone has any question. You can unmute yourself and you can ask. Anyone has any question? Okay.
लर्न पाइथन नहीं होगा.
Yeah, Jubair, uh, uh, actually your voice is a little bit breaking. Can you repeat?
So Python, not Java.
Python is not required. Give me 1 second. Let me get my headphone. Just 1 second. Huh? Okay, Jubair, your question is that Python is covered or not, right? Is that your question?
Yes, sir. Python cover दिया ना.
Okay, so Python will not be covered. See, Python is a programming language. Okay. So in the programming language, basically, when we talk about programming language, it has a different domain, different purpose, right? There we develop the application. We means we write a code like in the conditional statement, loops, and Python object oriented, so many things, right? So that is a separate course. In this course, we are learning about the deployment. So, for example, you are having a Python-based application and you want to deploy that application. So, deployment is the job of it comes under the infrastructure. So, here in this training, we will be learning about the infrastructure. Whereas in this training, I will be not in detail, but yes, up to certain level, we will talk about Java. Okay,
Okay.
good. Anyone else has any question? So now let me just go through our first topic, which is SDLC. So here you will find in this, actually I have a different blog where I have all the material. So I need to shift that material into this particular uh, GitHub repository. So I will be doing that, but for today's lecture, this is available. So let us talk about the SDLC overview. Okay, so we are starting about the DevOps. Means this is so first lecture will be almost, it is a introduction lecture. Okay, so today we will finish at 10 o'clock. From tomorrow we will be continued 9 to 10:30. Okay, there will be 5 to 10 minutes break in between. All right. So now let us talk about,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So now let us talk about what is SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle. See, this is a developer, and developer is writing a code into some programming language like C++, Java, Python, some programming language. And that code is basically going into the production. So ultimately, in nutshell or in a summary, I will say this is SDLC. So software development lifecycle is a step-by-step process that defines how software is planned, developed, tested, deployed, and maintained. So this is SDLC. Okay. So now let us see how we can achieve this SDLC. Now to achieve this SDLC, we are having different phase. We are having different phases. Okay. So first phase is called the requirement. So what is requirement? See, whenever you are developing a software, so that software is given by some client or maybe internal. If it is internal, then it is called internal client. So we need to understand what customer needs. We need to collect the requirement, whether it is functional or non-functional. So what is the meaning of functional and non-functional? So for example, a um, you are having a particular requirement that we need to create a login page. So login pages is the functionality which they need. So this is called the functional requirement. And non-functional, that we don't need forget password. So that is non-functional. So what will be the output you are expecting? That will be the software requirement specification, right? So at the end, I need a login page, and that login page is having username and password. Okay. So this is basically your output. So this is called the requirement analysis. Second is called planning. So what is planning? See, now someone has given you that way, I need a login page or I need a Gmail kind of application. So in that case, you need to define the scope. You need to define the cost. You need to define, it's not only you, it is a team actually, those who are doing this. You need to identify the risk. What is the risk means here? So for example, you are saying, okay, if you don't want forget password, then it will be it will not provide that. And if a user loses the password, then that user is to send a mail to us, and then we need to send them the uh, link. So this is basically the identify the risk. What will be the risk? And what are the resources which are to be used? And you need to plan for the project also. Means how step one we will do this, step two we will do this, step three, how many days, what is the cost. So according to that, you create a quotation and you just send it to your client, and you can say, hey, this will take 1 year. This will be the cost, these many resources, each each employee, this will be the cost per hour or per day. So that we define under the planning. Now, next one is the design. So when we talk about the designing, see, there are different types of designs. Once you plan that I need to create a Gmail kind of application, for example, then what will be the high level and low level design? What is high level design? High level design means, so you can say, okay, this will be the page, something like this. And here we will have this is called the login. There will be one login page. Okay. So there will be one page where user can see inbox, where user can see compose, send messages, etc. So these are high level. Low level means login page, how it will look like, okay, and which programming language you are using, etc. So all these will be in the design phase. So you will also design the database structure. You will see that how the UI will look like, presentation will look like. Okay, and ultimately you will create different types of documents like technical design document, we call it, database document, where you are having your ER diagram, entity relationship diagram, right? So all these will be the outcome of this design phase. Then once the design is ready, then you ask the development team to start writing the code. So they are basically writing the code, and they follow the coding standard. Means if you are writing in Java, Python, or some programming language, you need to follow their standard. We need to create class, we need to uh, do this, that, etc. Means whatever is the standards, means how to write a class. We need to use the camel case, Pascal case, etc. So ultimately, we are developing the code, and that is the source code. Then we are having testing. So unit testing. Can anybody tell me what is unit testing? Anyone?
हेलो सर, जो हमारा प्रोजेक्ट को मॉडल होता है उसको हम टेस्ट करते हैं डिप्लॉय करने से पहले, कि मार्केट में जाने से पहले हम किसी प्रोजेक्ट को टेस्ट करते हैं कि वो सही तरीके से काम कर रहा है नहीं कर रहा है।
Very good, very good, very good. So unit testing is done by the development team, right? So they test it, and they are checking before giving it to the testing team. Means the next team, what we do, we are testing it. Means development team is testing on their machine. There are different frameworks. If we talk about Java, there is JUnit, Jupyter, right? So like that, there depends upon which programming. If you are using Python, then unit testing, PyTest. So uh, there are many frameworks out there. So that is done on the development level, coding level. But there is something called integration testing. See, for example, you are having a source code and you have done the unit testing. Now you have given it to the testing team. So how testing team will do? They will do the integration testing. So you have developed Gmail application. Someone has developed a Google search engine. Someone has developed blog. So they will, put your application into the Gmail. And along with that, because of your Gmail application, the other search engine or blog should not be disturbed. So this is called integration testing. And as I mentioned, we will discuss about automation using Selenium. So test the application for bugs and quality, unit testing, integration testing, system testing, user acceptance testing. What is system testing? Entire project testing. What is user acceptance testing? This is client is doing the testing. User, user means end user who is testing this. And at the end, we are having the test reports. And we will see these test reports in our practical means when we will talking about the Selenium. And we will also see the unit testing test cases. Oh, okay. So now, so Then we are deploying our application, right? Deploy the application means in some environment. So there are different environments. So one environment is called dev environment or development environment. Second is called staging environment. Third is called UAT environment. Fourth is called pre-production. Fifth is called production. So dev, we are development team, they are writing the code and they want to do some testing, or testing team, they want to do a testing. So stage or test environment, where testing team, they are basically doing the testing. UAT is the user acceptance testing, which is done by the client. Pre-production, before moving the code into a live environment, what we do, we will first test it on the pre-production. And at the end, once your application is live, that environment is called production environment. So for that, we create the releases of the software into production or live environment. We do manual or automated using CI/CD pipeline. Means we are learning DevOps, but those who are not using this DevOps DevOps process, what they are doing, they are basically uh, they are using the manual approach to deploy the application. At the end, there is a maintenance. Maintenance is monitoring. So we will discuss the monitoring tool Prometheus and Grafana also. Okay. So those tools are basically to monitor your application, to monitor your servers, right? So what is maintenance? Fix the bugs, update features, security. How do you come to know this? Through monitoring tool. And it should be continuous automatic monitoring, or it could be manual, but we will be discussing the continuous monitoring. Okay. And output, it will be stable and updated software. So that is what the different phases of SDLC. Anyone has any question related to that? So now how time to time these, see today also we are following the same thing. And mm, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, the same process was there. Process is same, but to deploy it into the production or in different environment, that methodology is changed. So there are different methodologies like Agile, Waterfall, Agile, Scrum, Lean, DevOps. DevOps is a process. DevOps is not a tool. To achieve that process, we use tools. If someone says Docker is DevOps, no. Docker is a tool which is used in DevOps process. Okay. Again, we will discuss in detail. Okay. So can anybody tell me when C language was developed, or Unix was developed? Any idea? C language was in 1972, and the and Unix platform is 1969, right? So it means in 1969 there were some IT companies, right? So means I was not born, so you definitely you know, this is very very old, 1969, when nobody knows about what is computer. Since our grandfather, they don't know what is computer, right? So at that time, Unix was developed. It means there were some companies. Then 1972, C language was developed. So C language main purpose is that to create the system. Uh, system means this is the high level language for the system programming. Right? System programming means like you want to develop operating system, You want to communicate with the CPU, you want to check how much memory is left. So earlier assembly language was used, but and that was a low level language. Low level language is that language which is very much similar to the machine language, 0 or 1, in 0 or 1 bits. Okay. But high level language is that language like Python, C++, C, where it is very much similar to the language which we speak, especially English. So in 1970s, if there were company, then there will be some process. So waterfall methodology or waterfall model, this was the first SDLC process, okay, which was linear or sequential. What does it mean? See, here is the client who is giving the requirement. After that, design, right? Then on the basis of this design, the code is written. Now, once the requirement analysis is done, then you cannot change the requirement, or it is very hard to change the requirement. Client cannot ask that, okay, change uh, in between of this SDLC, that change my requirement. So that was not possible at that time. Actually, it is somewhere in 1980s when it came, and it was there till 1998. Okay. So this was developed uh, on the basis of motor industry. So at that time, motor industry was very popular, and they asked for the means they basically developed this SDLC process, how the manufacturing of motors happens. So they thought, okay, let's go with the sequential way and no change once the requirement is finished. No change. I mean, once the requirement is done, then you cannot change the requirement. And once design is done and you start coding, then you cannot change the design. So that is why it is called sequential or linear. Coding and testing, it works together, because if there is a bug in the code, then integration testing, they can tell to the coding that there is a code change required. So developer, they make the code changes and again give it to the integration testing. After that, once the integration testing is successful, then it is deployed in different environment, like first in maybe in the staging environment, then UAT, and then production. And then client comes to know, yes, this is my product. So client role is at requirement phase, and it is in the deployment phase. In between, there is no interaction with the client, or very minimal. So this was the first waterfall model. Okay. And if I just walk through this, so you can see how it works. You finish one phase completely before moving to the next, right? Like waterfall flowing down. Phases, design, requirement design, development, all those phases, right? What are the pros? What are the advantages? So simple and easy to manage, good for the project with the fixed and clear-cut requirement. So here, basically, when you know that I cannot change the requirement, I cannot change the design. So in that case, right, so you give the maximum information for your project. So the requirements are very clear and requirements are fixed. So this is basically beneficial for such kind of products. Now, if I talk about cons or the disadvantages, hard to go back and change something. Not flexible if customer needs evolve. So if customer says, I want to see where is the coding process, how you are using. So client is not getting involved in that. Who is getting involved? Only the development team or the other teams, right? Which is your IT company or project team. So client is only comes into the picture when they are giving the requirement or once it is into some environment, okay, deployed into some environment. Next is the agile methodology, very popular, right? So in the waterfall methodology, it was basically sequential model. This is called iterative model. In each iteration, basically what happens, we divide a big project into small project. In a waterfall model, we are having 40 to 60 days minimal time because there are a lot of documentation. Whereas in agile methodology, we divide a big project into small project. Say an example, if you are having a Gmail kind of application to develop, then what you do, you are basically first creating the login page. So login page can be finished first. Then this is called divide a big project into small project. And that is called one iteration. Now you are talking about login page requirement, planning, design, building, right? Uh, Testing and building. So this is one iteration. And the good thing is that here client is involved. So you need the client feedback on each iteration. For example, you have developed the login page and you are saying, hey, client, this login page is okay. So client says, yes, I need some change. So change is allowed. Okay, change is allowed. So client says, no, I need this change. So in this methodology, what you can do, you can allow customer to talk to the development team and they can ask for the change. Mostly the time period for this is 1 or 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And the changes are incremental. Incremental means if login page is done, finish, go to the next one. For example, you need to develop inbox page. So that is second iteration. Okay. So this is called agile process or agile methodology. And that came somewhere in 1998 and it is still active. Okay. It's more than 27 years now. So there are many projects which are still running as the agile process. So here you can see how it works. This is iterative and incremental approach to the software development lifecycle. So the time period, short cycles, we call it sprints, which is lasting 2 to 4 weeks. So here, customer collaboration over the contract integration, responding to change over the fixed plan, right? So you can ask, if client asks to change, you can change the code or the requirement. Deliver small, usable, and feature frequently. What are the advantages? Very flexible, adapts to changes quickly. Frequent customer feedback, ensure that product meets the expectation, right? That is what I have mentioned. What are the disadvantages? Means customer involvement is more. Uh, if customer is not available or may unnecessarily delay your project. Can be less predictable in the cost and time because in the beginning you don't know that customer is coming with requirement A and over the time it is changed. So costing part will be difficult to manage and time also. For example, customer is saying, I want feature X, but now you are giving, now again he is asking for feature Y. Right? So that takes time. Changes takes time. So these are the some disadvantages. Like if you want to develop an e-commerce website where new features like product review, wish list, payment integration is required. So you divide that project into small project and that timeline is called the sprint. Now, next is the lean methodology. In the lean methodology is basically wastage. See, that time earlier, how we are basically giving the course. So earlier, business was something like that. The the purchase price, right? Plus that is called the cost plus profit, and that is called the selling price. So that is called the selling price. But now competition is high. So what do? Your price is dependent upon is the profit, um, is whatever the cost you are having, whatever the cost you are having, price minus cost equals to profit. So what does it mean? How it is different? See, earlier you purchase something for 100 rupees. You say my margin is 10% and total cost is 110. I cannot sell less than this. But now your price is 110, right? And because competition is high, so you are saying customer is paying 110. I want to save the money how means as much as possible. So what do? You eliminate the wastage. So what is the elimination of the wastage? That, for example, there is some unnecessary thing. So you are having a shuttle from your office to your home, and there are only 5 people, those who are going from at particular location. But there is a big bus for that, which is capacity of 60%. So in that case, you cannot um, unnecessarily waste the bus charges, right? Because bus charges is more. So instead of that, you will say, okay, book a cab for them, okay, or give the traveling allowance, something like that. Say an example, you are having 10 servers, but you need only 3 servers. 7 servers are not active. So if talk to the different teams, those who are using it, and if possible, remove that 7, make it 5. Okay. So if you are removing that wastage, it comes under the lean methodology. So with that means when you have the limited or the required only um, resources, so you can deliver the uh, your your whatever the outcome you want to give for your project very fast. You can empower the team. You can ask the teams that whether we need to delete um, those virtual machines, or we need to remove these servers. Do we need to have uh, cab instead of bus? So you are basically asking, and there you are just empowering the teams to make these kind of decisions. And you are basically looking for this price, which is the customer value, and how we can have the maximum profit for that. Example, maximize the efficiency. Focus on only on what truly important for the customer. Okay. Anyone has any questions so far? And cons are means disadvantages, requires strong team discipline, hard to apply very large and complex projects. If the project is big, for the elimination, it is very difficult, right? So there we use the lean methodology. Okay, if the project is small. Example, a startup building MVP, minimum viable product, instead of making every feature at once. They launch the core feature like ride, booking in Uber, then adds the add extras later, right? So, for example, you want to develop one application, right? And you are saying, okay, first we will only have the booking, or we are having only the uh, first booking. Okay, in the booking we will uh, remove the resources which are extra, right? And or extra or wastage. Okay, so in that case, lean methodology will be used. Now, next one is Scrum. So Scrum is the implementation of agile process. So here we are using certain rules. So here we divide the project into small projects, which are called the sprints. Okay, and we are using the incremental iteration model. Okay, and daily there are some meetings, which is called the daily scrum to track the progress. Okay, so the one who is maintaining the meeting is called the scrum master. So who is the one who is basically following this process? For example, I'm working for as a scrum master. So my team should follow the agile process or the scrum process. So that is basically the scrum master is doing. Who is the product owner? The client is the product owner. Development team, those who are developing the product. So there is a very commonly asked question, what is the difference between agile and scrum? So you can say agile is a methodology and there are many implementation. One of them is scrum. Okay. So for example, you want to do a sprint planning, you want to do a daily scrum sprint review, okay, and the retrospective, which is nothing but how sprint in what items comes into that, what items are to be finished. There are so many things in the scrum, right? We create something called epic. Epic is a high level project description. For example, I want a Gmail kind of application. This is epic. There is something called user stories. There is something called task. So user story is basically, I want to create a login page. In login page, how to develop, that is task. And this is assigned to the different teams. So those things are implementation of the agile methodology. And that is called the Scrum. Anyone has any question? So today we have not discussed about the DevOps at all. Just I have given the brief introduction only in the beginning. But tomorrow we will talk about the Git and GitHub. We will start Git and GitHub plus DevOps process. Okay. We'll talk about what is the DevOps lifecycle and how at the end you will be able to create a something lifecycle like this. Means you are pushing the code into the GitHub, automatically build, automatically Docker image will be created, automatically tested. And this is CI or the continuous integration. Then the code will be pushed to the uh, different environment, and you can manage that code by using infrastructure as a code. And there we will be using Docker, Kubernetes, Ansible. And to manage this, we will use Jenkins. Okay. So for today's lecture, I just want to stop it here and we will continue this tomorrow.